If you recall from about 2 years ago, I reviewed the Nissan Almera VLN Sport. And I said that that car was pretty damn impressive. But it is pretty sad that not long after that, they kind of killed off the VL top-of-the-line trim. And instead, you could only have the Almera as the VEN Sport. But now the VL trim is finally back. And what we have right here beside me is the facelifted Nissan Almera. This is the 2024 Nissan Almera VL with Nissan Connect services. Today, let's see what is new with this car and what exactly this Nissan Connect thing is. So let's begin with the changes first. So on the exterior, you now have this very beautiful color. You know how Porsche and Mercedes-Benz has this sort of Nardo gray color? Well, it's pretty close to that, but a little bit bluer. Nissan has been calling this the moon gray color, and really it looks really damn nice. It blends well with this vehicle. The grille has been changed too. You lose that old V-Motion grille. Now you have a grille that looks a lot more aggressive, a lot more modern too. And of course, you still retain the newer corporate Nissan logo. LED headlights with DRLs and front fog lights remain as standard for this trim. Over at the side, new 16-inch rims, but the biggest change here would be your roof, which is now painted black to give you a lot of contrast. Just like before though, a lot of these subcompact sedans, they really do have some sort of a bloating look, and that still is the case here. But I would really say that the moon gray kind of negates that a little. It makes a car look less chunky. It makes a car look a lot less fat. It's a lot more balanced looking. Now for the rear, there's not much changes either, mostly just badging or lack thereof. Before, you used to have the Almera badge, a VL badge, and a 1.0 turbo badge, as well as the N Sport badge, but for this one, it's been dropped. So you only have the Almera badge as well as the VL badge. You still maintain that tiny crease by the trunk lid though that gives it a deck lid spoiler look, but also they didn't go out of their way to give you fake exhaust, which is always a good thing, very rare nowadays. For your trunk space, it is pretty big, and the shape is also pretty practical. It's very square, and you can even fold down those rear seats 60/40 for additional cargo, and you even get a false floor with a hidden space saver spare tire. Let's talk about the Nissan Connect services and what exactly it is. So basically, you just download the Nissan Connect app and you can interact with your Nissan Almera via your smartphone. So what can you do with this? You can remotely lock, unlock your car, you can start it, you can turn on the lights plus the horn if you can't find your vehicle and all that. And speaking of not being able to find your vehicle, in case you really can't find it, there's even a map function which allows you to route from your location to your car. It is that clever. Also, it has this curfew system and alarm system. So for example, you have a fleet of vehicles, or you lend your Almera to your child or your friend who's known to drive like a hooligan. If in case they drive outside a certain location that you set, it's gonna alarm. If they drive past a specific speed limit, it's also gonna alarm. And the same thing is true for when they drive outside a specific time frame. So example, they are only allowed to drive during window hours of coding. So if they drive between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m., it's gonna let you know. So this is very clever. Now, the remote start function, what's cool about that too is this works no matter where you are. And it's not only for the remote start function, all of these. Usually in some apps for cars, you can only do it if you're near the car, but for this one, it can work even if you are, let's say, abroad, because the car has a built-in like LTE or 3G function. It really is pretty amazing. Now, it's asking for a security code after pressing the remote start function. Let's just quickly input that and just wait for it. It does take a while, but let's wait for it. There you go. It fired right up right there behind me. For the engine, it remains unchanged. What you still have here is a 1-liter 3-cylinder turbocharged gasoline engine making 100 horsepower and 152 Newton meters of torque paired to a CVT. And just like my previous test, the fuel economy for this engine is also pretty impressive. In today's test, I was able to do 11.5 kilometers per liter in heavy city traffic, and on the highway I was able to return 25.1 kilometers per liter, and this is from Alabang all the way to Quezon Avenue. Amazing. Now inside the interior, we check the door first. not bad. I think it sounds better than before. That could just be placebo. I wouldn't dive too deep inside the interior anymore because I already did it in the past and it's virtually unchanged. But if you're interested, you can just click up here for the previous Almera video. Anyway, the biggest change here would just be the color scheme. So now you have this like blue colored padding on the center of your dashboard as well as on your seats. But the rest of it is virtually the same. So you still get leather steering wheel, tilt and telescopic, the same digital instrument cluster, which is only partly digital, and the same 7-inch touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which are both wired. And it also comes with a 360-degree view top-down camera. Other features you get here include single-zone climate control, a wireless charging pad, and you also get 6 airbags plus Nissan Intelligent Mobility Suite, which includes intelligent autonomous braking, intelligent forward collision warning, rear cross traffic alert, and blind spot monitoring. Now, one cool feature that Nissan really added for this facelift is this button up here. So it says SOS on it, and it's part of the Nissan Connect services. So you simply open up that hatch, and if you press that button, it's gonna dial emergency services, or I believe it's gonna connect you to Nissan's call center that will then connect you to emergency services. Anyway, it's a very neat trick. Obviously, I don't want to test it out right now because I don't want the police or like the fire department coming over here, but yeah, that is nice to know that this car has it now. There's also this new frameless rear view mirror. It's still manual though, but yeah, it's frameless now. Now for the rear seat, we check the door too. Yep, sounds about okay. Now, just like the front, the rear doesn't really get that much updates except for the blue accents on the seats. The rest are still the same. Just like before, you don't have map pockets on the driver's side seats. I don't get it, but you still do get it on the passenger side seat. You also still do maintain this very high but very thick armrest with 2 cup holders and a USB-A port. But again, just like before, I really always commended the seats, the rear seats of the Almera, because there's just a lot of thigh support, especially for a car of its class. And if you need to seat a third person in here, you can do it because there is a middle headrest. But as before too, the car isn't exactly the widest, so this is just best reserved for 2 people. Now we drive the Nissan Almera VL with Nissan Connect. They didn't really change anything under the hood, so it feels exactly the same. What that means is you still get more than enough power, and this car surprisingly feels pretty fast. There is a hidden sport mode button just by your shifter, and whether or not you use sport mode, you're gonna have tons of fun with this car because just give me a clear stretch of road and we floor it. Just a tiny bit of turbo lag, but everything else is just so responsive. Your throttle response is responsive. Your CVT doesn't really feel like a CVT. Yes, you don't have that like power loss or even a simulated power loss like shifting when it comes to like or having that real automatic transmission feel, but honestly it doesn't matter because this car, it's just a ton of fun to drive, and yet it still is pretty comfortable for your daily trips. The steering, it's light enough. Yes, it is a little vague, so it doesn't really give you that much feel. But also the chassis, it's also stiff enough to give you enough fun over corners. It's just a good car overall. You know, this car, it doesn't really tick all the boxes. It's not the most comfortable car in its class. It's not the sportiest car in its class, but it's a jack of all trades. And some people might say, you know, jack of all trades, master of none. But again, there's this rumor going on that the real saying is jack of all trades, master of none is better than a master of one. And this is definitely better than being a master of one. What I really hope that Nissan would improve on would be vibrations as well as noise insulation, because yes, I know you are limited to a 1-liter engine, so there will be a lot of inherent vibrations over there. And honestly, it isn't exactly bad. It's just that when you're at idle, you will definitely feel a lot of the vibrations. And for wind noise and tire noise, it's not too bad either, but tire noise, well, yeah, it starts to get a little bit apparent at 40, and especially when you get to 70, you can really hear a lot of it. And I assume that's because when I look under the car, over your wheel arches, you don't really have a lot of insulation over there, or even like that weird asbestos or cement or asphalt looking rust proofing compound that would also help with noise insulation. So maybe you can just add that aftermarket, just have it sprayed on there, and I believe the Nissan Almera would hopefully be a lot quieter. But yes, then again, I wish Nissan Philippines had already added that to begin with. But I want to end the driving segment on a positive note too, and that's because I failed to mention one thing. One thing that I believe is a game changer for the Nissan Almera. For the first time ever, this facelift version now gets cruise control. Yes, it may not be adaptive cruise control, but even just standard cruise control, such as what you have here, is more than enough to make your long distance driving, which you're gonna enjoy by the way with the Nissan Almera, a lot more comfortable than a lot of the other cars in this class, which for some reason still don't get cruise control even in 2023 or 2024. So now for pricing. The new facelifted Nissan Almera in this VL trim with Nissan Connect cost 1,149,000 pesos. Honestly, that's a little bit on the premium side of its class, but given the amount of tech it gives you, the comfort as well as the fun driving experience and solid built feel, I think this is truly a car to consider if you need a subcompact sedan.